Project X effect. Debauchery, alcohol, girls, all in one. Dirty. Well, let's dive into how Project X influenced the next generation and why it caused so much more debauchery, so much more alcohol consumption, and so much more, well, partying. Let's dive in. Project X, the newest tribute to drugs, alcohol. I don't get more size for next one. SE. Loud music and promiscuous dancing of unruly youth life lifts all normal party behavior to an unbelievable extreme. However, the fresh, uncensored portrayal of high school scenography, as well as the cast. Essentially, Project X has this effect of creating a feeling around these parties that makes it feel more real than it should, and influences the next generation to have their own parties of that magnitude. But let's continue. The three friends have great chemistry between them, and thus their friendship doesn't seem forced due to the fact that there are no headlining actors or big names. Besides the producer Todd Phillips, who directed Hangover, the movie's ambience is solely based on the ridiculous scenario of a celebration of bad behavior. Moreover, unlike other movies based in high school, there aren't unbelievably witty people who speak as adults in children's bodies, best believe. Think characters of cruel intentions or generalized cheerleaders or nerds. The people in the movie talk and dance like people in high schools across the country, and thus provide a seemingly uncensored picture of America. School and a few thousand other people will descend on this quiet neighborhood and turn what was meant to be a simple pool party into the Nigerian nightmare. The dark, destructive nature of the teenage mob, fueled on drugs and alcohol, by the way, and hormones overtake the party, turning it into a postmodern Lord of the Flies. As one Redditor put it, my disgust with modern youth is no secret amongst those closest to me. Don't get me wrong, there are good kids out there. I know a lot of smart kids can't respect to young people, so I don't to insult anybody, but I'm just referring to the trend I've noticed in a great number of teens over the past few years as someone in their 20s who spent a lot of time in movie theaters, concert venues, and various other social channels. I can't help but notice the complete lack of respect many of these young people seem to have for society in general. As the asshole in the group, this is a thing that I am profoundly disrespectful person, but that just isn't the case. While I boast about regularly, I have an acute respect for the social contract and keep people around me. After all, it's one thing to give your friend crap for falling asleep, hugging a bucket of fried chicken. Another thing is to tell a complete stranger about their weight without any provocation. Simply meaning the younger generation had zero respect and were heavily influenced by this movie to throw outrageous parties with less than questionable morals. And it seems that the younger generation sees the world as some form of a disposal playground, like your own personal Grand Theft Auto, if you will. We're simply just random two-dimensional characters that inhabit it. They are the main character of their own story, and even a party like it. But let's circle back to Project X. Project X, much like Clockwork Orange, puts a spotlight on these outbreaking worst-case scenarios, and that's how Project X really inspires these kids, not in a positive way. Now, from the Harvard Crimson, they said, there are no bounds in the dialogue or storyline, for that matter. In that way, the party ultimately unwinds from believable but insane rage to an unreal catastrophe, where police and a crazy drug dealer wielding a flamethrower are all involved. And the plot unraveled to an absurd scenario. However, although the craziness mars the aforementioned honest feeling, at least a sort of moral message is upheld with the party through suffering the consequences at the end. College funds are used in rebuilding houses, and Thomas was brought up on 6 charges, but he's a legend at high school, though. The epic party is still a night to remember for the young protagonist. So even though the appreciated realistic qualities of the film are squandered by the end of the movie, it was refreshing to see the repercussions on, like, wondering what happened to the tattoo on Stu's face after Hangover 2. Project X is a movie strictly for millennials. Baby boomers might not appreciate the visions of suburban homes, and flames might appreciate the relatively realistic and impressive Rager, if only vicariously. Days, and it would end up a lot of people getting sick, a lot of people getting hurt, property damage, and many consequences that no one really wants to face. Inside the real-life Project X that caused £15,000 worth of damage and inspired a hit movie. Now we're going over the Project X effect, but the movie was inspired by something that happened in real life. So, what inspired it? Well, let's dive in. The cult classic took its audience by surprise with this wild and outrageous story, which many aspects mirrored the real-life event that it took place 4 years early in 2008. The film, directed by Nima Norizda, I'm not pronouncing it properly, follows the lives of three friends named Thomas, Cost, and JB. I've all gone through that already, but essentially they become they're best friends, and they went through a party for Thomas while his parents are out of town. Now, to the event that happened in 2008, so the real life project known as in real life. Well, in court in Melbourne, Australia, involving a teenager named Corey Delaney on January 12th, the 16-year-old was home alone in the suburb area of Narra when his mother and stepfather Joanne and Stephen Delaney jetted off on holiday in Queensland. Before they left, the parents made their son promise not to throw any wild parties while they were away, knowing his behavior, but the rebellious teenager didn't really care and just said, "F that," and decided to arrange his party with his friends. Ryan on his MySpace page and MSN account, Corey wrote, "Parents away, tell your mates you don't want to miss it. It's gonna be huge," in quote. The event soon spread like wildfire online, with hundreds of people turning up for the big bash. It's estimated around 500 teenagers, which is an insane number of amount of people to be in one place, gathered in that neighborhood, turning for the party to wreak havoc on family home. It's fair to say that it could have led to that if the situation went any further. Essentially, this is the real life Project X, which kind of inspired the movie, and the movie kind of inspired bigger ragers after that, a few years after that. But the point is, throwing an outrageous party with debauchery, girls and all that may seem fun in the moment, but ultimately leads to destruction, vandalism, drug abuse, alcohol, and many other vices that will not be mentioned. It doesn't do anywhere good, and that will only bring heavy consequences to the partakers. And this movie is an amazing movie cinematically, but a terrible movie to inspire the next generation of the youth. So yeah, I'm Nazaro, and that's the Project X effect. Subscribe for more documentaries like this on various topics, and thank you. Peace.
It's all on tape.
What are you looking for?
So you know this high school party in Pasadena. Have you seen the footage?